Chris Brown, Steve Tasker, and joined in studio now by our colleague Maddy Glab for a season wrap-up edition of the Maddy Awards, presented by Energy Mark, the official energy supplier of the Buffalo Bills. Time to turn those frowns upside down, everybody.
Oh yeah. We are in the positivity business right now, guys. We are going to pump some positivity into all of you who are listening and tuning in, and to Brownie and Tasker. I know you guys have had a great show so far, so let's keep it going with some awards. MVP number one. This one was so easy, too easy, because you've got to give credit where credit is due. Josh Allen was Buffalo's most valuable player, and I think he also proved that he's the MVP of the league. He etched his name in more record books in year 6 and showed with 17 at the helm anything is possible. He took a 6-6 team that many doubted and steered the ship to 5 straight wins and a 4th straight AFC East title. He led the NFL with most total touchdowns at 44, most offensive yards, 4,830. Also led the league in red zone touchdowns and tied for the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a single season. That was the highest number in NFL history, along with Jalen Hurts there. He accounted for 86.3% of Buffalo's offensive touchdowns this season, which is the most by any player in 2017. That's literally the definition of most valuable when you account for that many touchdowns. He's also the first player in NFL history to have 4 straight seasons of at least 40 offensive touchdowns. I could go on and on about this guy, but I think back to several games this season when the game was on the line and how Josh Allen just kicked it into another gear. He turned into a transformer, a monster truck, a grizzly bear, whatever you want to call him, and was able to wreck opposing defenses' game plans, whether it was scrambling for a first down when nobody thought it was possible, or being able to complete a pass that looked like there was no window to complete anything. And he had that scramble and that juke for that 52-yard rushing touchdown against the Steelers in the playoffs, and then he had that touchdown pass on the run to Khalil Shakir on 3rd and goal against the Chiefs in the divisional round that gave the Bills the lead heading into the 4th quarter. Those were just a couple plays that, may have looked impossible, but with Allen, they were completely possible. I think when the lights are bright, Allen shines brighter. And people talk about this window is closing in Buffalo and yada, yada, yada. Well, the window can't close when you have 17 as your quarterback, because he's going to bust right through that window and break it down. He's the best in the league at what he does, and he deserves to be the MVP. And we are so lucky that he continues to give this team a chance at the Super Bowl every single year.
Yeah, Maddy. I like it. Way to pound the table.
Yeah, it's like a campaign speech there. That was good. I will let you know, Maddy, I haven't told Steve this officially, but I am officially putting an embargo on any and all window conversations on this show.
Let's
One
go.
Bills Live no longer discusses window discussions. It's off limits. It has been embargoed. I'm not doing it anymore. Just not doing it here on this show. I'm so sick of that conversation. I really am.
Yeah, you're right, Maddy. He was in the conversation. Week 1, we got off to the rough start when he went down. He saw Aaron Rodgers go down the other side of the field, and decided he could win the game every play, and he cost him that opening game. And after that, he settled in, and all of a sudden, just he kind of went bonkers for the entire season. So it was word has he's not going to win the MVP, but certainly he's a finalist. He deserves to be a finalist. I think he had a better year than any other quarterback. And for all the people out there who aren't Bills fans, or maybe Bills fans too, who says, well, he turns it over too much, I would say this: no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He got him to play. He didn't turn it over in the playoffs, and that's when and he got him there with 82% of the touchdowns.
Yeah,
this is a guy that he is the ultimate weapon in the NFL right now, and he continues to play like it. So
all right, so we go from one MVP award to another MVP award. Explain.
I was thinking we need to give a Trenches MVP award, because these guys, it all starts at the line of scrimmage. We hear Sean McDermott talk about it all the time. It starts up front. And the job that the offensive line did this season was just so impressive. I can't give it to just one guy. So the trenches MVP is the entire offensive line for how they helped Josh Allen operate, how they got the rushing offense going. I mean, they finished the season ranked as the 7th best rushing offense, and they ranked top 5 down the stretch there when they were winning game after game after game. The way that this group came together and put the film on display, that they had game after game of these 5 guys who did not miss a game together. I mean, I think back to the last few seasons and how players were in and out of the lineup at offensive line, and it was tough to get that chemistry going. And this season, that was not the case. These guys were healthy. They were on the field for every single game. I mean, Deion Dawkins put one of his best seasons together, protecting Josh Allen, and then you think about Mitch Morse, the solid center of that offense, and the job that he did. They call him Dad for a reason, because he is so reliable.
He's such a dad.
He is a dad.
Spencer Brown, he finally got through a healthy season and proved that he's the future of that right tackle spot with his play. Connor McGovern stepped into a new team and locked down the left guard spot, and quickly found his way into this team, and I don't understand why the Cowboys let him go. And then there's Osiris Torrance, who did not miss a snap during his rookie season. I'm so impressed with his play and how he's able to pick up life in the NFL so quickly. And the group, if you talk to them, they talked about how tight they became off the field, and I think you saw that play out with their play on the field. They didn't miss a beat this year, and that's why they deserve the Trenches MVP award. And they're all going to be back next season.
Yeah. You think about it, you can kind of think of the only time when those 5 guys weren't out there, and it's when Deion Dawkins got his hand cut in the playoff game against Pittsburgh, right? That's the only time he ever came off the field. And then Vandermark goes in, and the great exchange between them where they had a touchdown drive with Vandermark at left tackle, and Deion was right there to give him a big hug. So those 5 guys being able to stay healthy and on the field,
consistency.
That I think that's, you can count a lot of that towards the success of what the Bills offense had this year.
All right, so the next one up is the biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise is going to Terrell Bernard. I thought that he could surprise some people with what he was going to be able to do at that Mike linebacker spot once he was named the starting linebacker on this team, but I was not expecting what we got from him. Holy moly, he turned a lot of heads. Brandon Beane and the scouting department know exactly what they're doing, and Bobby Babich knows how to coach up his players. And hey, now he's the defensive coordinator. I mean, Bernard even played lights out without Matt Milano next to him. I love that for this guy. When a lot of people doubted that he deserved the starting job, he proved that this is my job and I am not going anywhere. He finished leading the team with 143 total tackles, which is the most by a Bill since 2017, had 6.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 9 quarterback hits, and at 6'1" and 224 pounds, do not let his size fool you, because he was a complete ball hawk all season. He stepped up into a big leadership role this year, wearing the green dot, being the quarterback of that defense. And he said he had incredible growth this season, and he looks forward to becoming an even better version of himself for next year. I feel really good about the guy who's the quarterback of the defense, just with how I watched him operate on the field and carry himself off the field. I think Buffalo's got that spot locked down for the foreseeable future with Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think when you look at it from where we started with him and what I thought, I had doubts about him as well. I was like, man, I wonder how he's going to do. I wonder how he's going to be. Is he going to be able to? And man, oh man, did he absolutely exceed expectations.
And boy, was he sorely missed in the playoff game against the Chiefs.
Ugh.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Totally unfortunate that took place, but you win some, you lose some. In terms of player availability, he was available for most of the season. All right, we go from biggest surprise to most improved.
Most improved is going to Khalil Shakir. In his rookie season, he had just 10 catches for around 160 receiving yards. In year 2, he more than triples those numbers, 39 catches for just over 600 receiving yards. He's the most improved player for the role that he was able to earn himself within this offense. It wasn't a role that was just given to him in week 1. He had to work for it. He had to earn it, and he definitely did. He's such a reliable weapon for Josh Allen. Allen could whip it on over to him, and Khalil Shakir would do what he needed to do to get open and make the catch. He finished his second NFL season leading the league in catch rate for wide receivers at 86.7%. Josh Allen also had a passer rating of around 139 when targeting Shakir, which ranked near the top of the league for quarterback-wide receiver duos. He had two really, really impressive catches, touchdown catches in the postseason. That one against the Steelers, where he was basically pulled to the ground, was able to spin out of it and run into the end zone for the touchdown. And of course, that touchdown grab that he had against the Chiefs in the corner of the end zone on 3rd and goal toward the end of the game. He had to come to the ball. He had to keep his feet in bounds and make that catch as he was falling down. He was a 5th round wide receiver who played way above where he was drafted, and I expect him to do a lot more of that this next season. Brandon Beane called him dependable, sneaky, fast, and someone who lays it all on the line, and I think we saw that all year.
Yeah, I mean, that touchdown that he had in the playoff game against the Steelers when he got away from Minkah Fitzpatrick, everybody's talking about how he got away from Fitzpatrick. Go back and watch how he shook Michael Walker, the linebacker, completely out of his shoes. I mean, he left him like a house on the side of the road. It was such a juke, like he was a frozen. I think I said during the game he's a frozen pizza. Because that's what he looked like.
He comes out of the tackle from Minkah Fitzpatrick, comes out, and the jab move he puts
right
in
there.
That's what got him into the end zone.
Thanks for coming.
And, I mean, it's an elite move. It's absolutely Barry Sanders-esque. That's exactly the way Barry used to just, and Walker was the same way. I mean, he almost broke his ankle. And that was, you had to have it. He made that play, and he became a guy, you think about it, it's hard to do this as a player. Be one of those guys where all the fans in the stands are, man, find Shakir, man. Throw the ball to Shakir. You get a 3rd and 6 or a 2nd and long. It's like, just get it to Shakir and get the first down. A guy that becomes kind of this go-to fan wish just to get him the ball and let him get us the first down so we can keep going.
Yeah, I think the most encouraging thing is the fact that he came on late in the season. Like, it wasn't like he put this wire-to-wire season. So he came on late, and I would argue at the end of the year, even though the Bills lost, he was still ascending. Right. So the thought about what he could be next year is really encouraging in light of how he finished on such a high note. So, yeah, I mean, those are two young guys back-to-back, Terrell Bernard, Khalil Shakir, and we've got more in the most promised category.
The most promised, Osiris Torrance and Dalton Kincaid, a couple rookies, showed why the future is bright in Buffalo this season. These rookies played right away, and they made an impact quickly. We heard from Brandon Beane after the season, and he talked about this draft is really important. We may need playing time out of these guys this season because of our cap space, because of where we're at. Well, these two rookies were drafted and played immediately and made an impact right away. So maybe we'll see more of that next season with a new group of rookies coming in here in just a few months. So Dalton Kincaid broke the rookie receptions record for the Bills, finishing with 73 catches. Was also the most by a Bills tight end in a single season. Between the regular season and the playoffs, he finished with almost 780 receiving yards. And just like Shakir, he proved that he's a reliable weapon for Josh. He makes life tough for defenses with his size and his catch ability. And then there's Osiris Torrance, who was thrown into a starting role right away in his first NFL season and showed that it wasn't too big for him. He's a guy who's tall in stature, but he's got good hands. He's light on his feet. He had a solid first season, and it's going to be fun to see what he does coming off of his first NFL offseason, because I spoke with him toward the end of the year, and I was like, can you believe it's just week 16 or already week 16, already week 17? And, these guys go through their final year in college football and they're playing 12 weeks. And you hear about the rookie wall. And he said he was feeling it. He was feeling it, heading into that bye week, and was able to get out of it and really finish off his rookie season strong. So I can't imagine. I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of this guy with some fresh legs heading into year 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, not only Kincaid, but also Osiris Torrance, who, played every snap. And you're right. You forget. we needed some guys to come in and start and play and have significant roles offensively, defensively, and they did. These two guys came in and filled that, which is what we've been talking about that the whole show today, about how they got to find guys who can actually get plugged in and play. They've proven they can find those guys in the draft.
Yeah.
All right, next up, the biggest steal.
All right, that's going to one of the defensive linemen who I thought was the biggest steal this season. This man was waiting around until early June and was signed by the Bills. The Bills are lucky to have gotten him. It's Leonard Floyd. He led the team with 10.5 sacks, 19 quarterback hits. He was a game wrecker, made life hard for quarterbacks. He's 31 years old, but he proved there's still a lot more left in the tank for him this season. He said that he loved playing in a defense like the Bills had because it was all about getting after the quarterback, and that's exactly what he did. The Bills finished with the fourth most sacks with 54 and sixth most quarterback hits with 110, and Leonard Floyd was a big part of that. I know we didn't see as much of him at the end of the season, but he was a workhorse for this defensive line and did a lot on the end there.
Yeah, 10.5 sacks. I know he got his big old bonus for getting to double digits. First player to get to double digits since Lorenzo Alexander in 2016.
Yeah.
When he had 12.5. So first guy to do that. Yeah, and fought through some injuries too. You know, I know his production kind of dropped off towards the end of the year.
Right.
He's really gutting it out with a rib injury and an ankle problem, and was kind of playing hurt down the stretch there and into the postseason.
Yeah, he was a huge pickup by the Bills. Had a great season when the Bills really needed him to, and he was consistent. He was there, showed up every week, and that's really, you know, when you talk about things you'd like to see out of free agent, he checks all the boxes: production, availability, and really at a time when you really needed him, timeliness. Couldn't ask for a better season out of Leonard Floyd.
Best comeback.
Best comeback is going to our guy, Damar Hamlin. Just around 6 months after his cardiac arrest, Damar Hamlin was back on the field in full pads getting ready for another NFL season. He played in 5 games this year with a role mostly on special teams, but his comeback from having to be resuscitated on the field that night on January 2nd to playing in an NFL game just a season later is nothing short of amazing. And all the little steps and the progress that he made along the way to get him there were just incredible. I think the most incredible part, though, is being able to see what he's done in terms of giving back to the community, to our country, to Buffalo, to Pittsburgh. He's still the same guy with the big heart and the big smile and the great personality, but now he has an even bigger impact on our world today in the best way. I know he's up for Comeback Player of the Year. I really hope he gets that.
Well, I mean, it just simply put, nobody came back further than he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to be funny, but goodness gracious.
Yeah.
What a story it's been, and to see him come out and be a part of the team, and I think we've come a long way too, and it's kind of relieving to think about that, how much we take him for granted now. Yeah, okay, Damar's here, he's going to play. It's like,
Right.
okay, fine. Remember early in the season, he was a big deal. TV cameras,
people didn't know.
Yeah, TV
Nobody
cameras
knew.
were finding him. They followed him. They made sure that they got a shot of him on all the broadcasts, and now that's all settled down, and he can just be a pro football player again.
He can be just
It's
another
been
guy
great.
in the locker room.
All right, best moment.
Okay, best moment. It was hard to just pick one moment, so I am choosing several weeks instead. It's the run that the Bills went on after their Week 13 bye, when they had to win out if they wanted another AFC East title and if they wanted a seat at the postseason table, and they did exactly that. 5 straight wins against some big-time opponents like the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Dolphins. Many people counted this team out and said they did not belong in the playoffs this year, but the Bills turned their backs to all that noise, and instead they got closer as a group and tighter as a team, and they were able to turn the season completely around. I'm really impressed with how they were able to get into the playoffs and how they were able to put it together when it really mattered, when they needed it most. I think it speaks to the leadership and maturity in that locker room, especially the leadership from their quarterback, Josh Allen.
Yeah, it was. You knew they had it in them to make the run, but they had to go through the Chiefs, they had to go through the Cowboys and the Chargers, they had to go through the Patriots and the Dolphins, who the Dolphins were, flying high at that moment, and there were so many people said, and you tweeted, all the guys in the media, the local media were like, it's over, they're done. They're absolutely stick a fork in them. And they wouldn't have it. They put together a nice win streak, and it was really punctuated. And they got off to a good start by beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. And then what really set it up for a stretch run was the huge win over Dallas. Dallas comes in, and they were playing and winning games and had their designs on winning their division, which they ultimately ended up doing. And the Bills absolutely thumped them. Absolutely thumped them. And I think that put the Bills back in a spot where mentally and even with their fan base, guys like people like us and the fans at large were like, maybe they can. Maybe they can do it.
Best play, we're going to go around the horn on this one, so we all get a crack at this one. And I guess I will go first based on the order I see it in the rundown here. So I like always giving credit to the guys that don't get a lot of shine, and that's usually the guys on defense or on special teams. And so I picked A.J. Epinez's interception return for a touchdown against Washington all the way back in Week 3. We saw A.J. get his hands on passes before, batting down passes, knocking things down, and I think he set a career high in that category this season. But this was his first career interception, and it went for a touchdown on a pick six. I don't know if it gets better than that for a defensive lineman because they don't have a lot of interceptions in their career. And his first one of his career goes for a pick six. And it wasn't like a 5-yard run to the end zone. This went for like 30 plus.
Yeah. And
pretty cool.
It was like a 2-yard pass,
awesome.
too. I mean, the guy threw it right in his grill. And he took it in.
Just really cool.
Yeah, if you go back, if you have the NFL Game Pass, go back and listen to Andrew Catalan, our guy here who does the preseason games with us, and he, good friend of mine. He made a great call on this interception pick six, and it was it was one of those cool things where it was so unexpected at that moment because he rolls out, and he's rolling to the left, and the last thing you think about is the guy right in front of him picking that off. And
because he dropped on the play.
Right.
AJ dropped on the play, and they triggered a linebacker, which was Milano. So he's out in the flat there in no man's land, and all of a sudden Howell's coming at him. He tries to throw it over him.
Yeah, and it's just didn't
today.
do it. It was great. It was great. That's a good call, Brownie. Maddie, what's your play of the season?
Okay. You said defense, so I'll go special teams. I cannot get that Deontay Hardy punt return touchdown out of my head. It's hard to pick one, of course, because there were so many great plays throughout the season. But Deontay Hardy's 96-yard punt return touchdown against Miami, they just needed something to happen in that moment because that game was a must-win for the Bills if they wanted the AFC East title, if they wanted to get into the playoffs, and the Bills were down by a touchdown entering the fourth quarter. They needed a spark. Deontay Hardy was that spark. He tied the game up with that punt return touchdown, and then the Bills go on to score another touchdown later in the fourth quarter to take the lead and win the game. But Deontay Hardy's punt return touchdown, I think, is my favorite play of the season.
Yeah, everybody in the locker room after that thing said that was the turning point of the game. It was the spark that we needed in the most important game of the season. I mean, that's for the division there.
Yeah.
And that tied the game. That and the extra point tied the game. They're down 14-7 there and tied the game, and we all know what happened after that.
And it was a great return as well. I think it was well blocked up, and I think though too, I like those plays that have a moment. Like I'm nothing against, but A.J. Epineza, they were up 23-0 at the time when he made, or 23-7 at the time he made that pick six. This, you needed it.
Yeah.
And I think that's always something that kind of gets lost in all these cool plays that happen. If it's a moment when you really got to have it, and a guy makes a play like that, it's really special.
All the stars align.
Really, it's really special. Okay,
all right, Tasker.
My favorite one is, and people will know what one is. There's no question about it. The MVP of the league, in my opinion. You're in a playoff game. You're in a tussle. You got to have a play. And Josh Allen drops back to pass. The Steelers are in man coverage, and he decides he's going to run it and try and get the first down. He runs up, gets the first down, thinks like he's going to slide or go down. It looks like he wiggles, and then he absolutely trucks a linebacker and goes in, or a safety, and he runs the rest of the way in for a 52-yard touchdown. A quarterback running 52 yards for the touchdown and trucking a guy to do it. there's only one guy in the league that does that, and it's Josh. And that
The trucking part
in a
while running, yes.
in a playoff game, when when things are, when it's a gotta-win game, to make a play like that. And really, this is when you can't see it in the highlight we're watching here, but he's got his cape flying behind him.
Yeah,
he does.
And he just came out of the phone booth, and most young people don't know what a phone booth is, but that's the guy here. And so I think that was the play after the 6-week run that they were, the 5-week run that they had to make to get into the playoffs, to get into a playoff game in Orchard Park and have your quarterback pull off a 52-yard run after trucking a guy to break
It's
free.
like, what can get better than this?
That was quite a moment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the season wrap-up edition of the Maddy Awards. Maddy, thanks for your submissions all season long. We enjoyed them. And that was a good pick-me-up here at the end of the season. It ended a little sooner than...
Draft watch is right around the
Oh,
corner,
yeah.
guys.
Right.
Get ready.
Mock draft.
Let the
1.0.
season begin.
Let's go!
Yeah, we'll be catching up with you, as we know, in the offseason for Mock Draft Watch. We look forward to those on BuffaloBills.com and right here in studio as well.